So I just did a video on triggers and how the different attachment styles are triggered and the different things that trigger them. But I did kind of want to make a disclaimer because society, I think today has sort of taught us that a trigger is just anything that upsets anybody or doesn't sit right with anybody, and it sort of seems like everybody's triggered by everything all the time. And so the term has really sort of lost its meaning. But a true trigger is something that is part of our subconscious because it's something that has affected us deeply in some way, usually stemming from our childhood or an experience. So it's an experience that has stuck with us, wounded us at some level, usually comes from a place of trauma or a little trauma or a big trauma, but it's stuck with us and it's sort of in our subconscious. We're not aware of it until something happens that actually triggers us. And it's a true physiological response when it happens. It's not just that somebody said something we don't like and so we get bent out of shape about it, or somebody did us wrong. It's not something so small and simple and trivial. It really is something that whenever we are triggered, there's a physiological response in our bodies where chemicals are released. There's a trauma response sometimes, whether it's fight, flight, freeze, whatever it is. But it's something that is underlying and is truly there. But I do feel like society has sort of blown it out of proportion and changed the definition of it from what it should be. I do want to make sure that I help everyone understand that we are all responsible for our own triggers. I'm not saying that we're not. However, we all have to recognize our triggers, find awareness, figure out how to intervene in our trigger cycle, and figure out how to keep ourselves from getting escalated and getting dysregulated and responding in ways that are poor or ineffective or unkind. We are responsible for our triggers and how we handle them. That being said, it's also important for us to show up in kindness, especially in our romantic relationships with our partners. If we know something really is hard for someone, or we recognize that we've triggered them, or we're aware of them, or if we at least listen and understand their side, then we can do things on our end to not put them in that uncomfortable phase or get them into a trauma response. So it just helps us to show up in a way that's more compassionate and more kind. But again, it's on them to actually deal with their triggers, recognize them. But if you can tell your partner, hey, these are things that I've noticed have triggered me, your partner can do those things less. They can understand you at a deeper level. They can show up better for you. They can support you as you're going through the triggers. And it's also important for them because then they know not to take it personally. And again, that's their job too. If you respond negatively because you are triggered and your partner gets offended and just claps back or doesn't choose to show up in kindness and love and understanding, that's also something they have to own. If you do trigger somebody and you do not like their reaction, you can't be offended by it. You can't take everything personally. You have to really have accountability for your own reactions, triggers, and feelings, and not let somebody else take away that power and put you into a state of dysregulation or a state where you're not showing up in a way that is calm, effective, productive, and efficient and kind. Knowing someone else's triggers is a great way for you to show up and support them, for you to understand them better, for you to support them, for you to help them become more regulated. Healthy couples self-regulate. So if you're triggered, you have to handle that on your own for a little bit at times, maybe because your partner's not available or because you need to calm down and create space before you can co-regulate with your partner. But co-regulation is also important. Be able to help each other calm down and show up in support for one another to come to a resolution. So it's important for us to be able to self-regulate when we're triggered, and also for us to help co-regulate with our partners. So if we have a partner who's been triggered, helping them co-regulate will help a lot with their triggers and how fast they're able to overcome them. If you're interested in working on your own triggers, identifying them, figuring out how you can intervene in the trigger cycle, and learning different coping mechanisms and strategies and tools to help you keep yourself from getting completely dysregulated and keep your triggers where they're not happening as often or as intensely, or you're interested in helping your partner with theirs so you can just show up better and be more supportive, then all my information's in the bio. Please reach out. I'd love to help you.